The following is a presentation of the Radio Misfits Podcast Network.
From the birthplace of modern winemaking, Sonoma, California, welcome to The Winemakers. Local experts Sam Couturi, Bart Hansen, and Brian Casey invite you to listen in as they discuss all facets of winemaking. So sit back, pour yourself a glass, and let's hear what the guys have to say this week.
Like she's been doing it for years.
Good job, Danielle.
Thank you. That was my first pour here on the podcast as a co-host. So big moments today.
Big times. We'll mark the occasion.
Yeah, with some Grenache Blanc.
Right.
Yeah, but you got to pass it to people after.
Oh, yes, of course.
Sorry, I got nervous.
The most important part. And then you guys, if you don't mind, just pull that microphone right up so you're within
A fist.
3 inches of that thing when you talk. We got Crux.
Full house. The crux of the situation.
Crux of the situation going
I mean, we
on.
had several text messages that kind of talked about, you know, what the crux.
With the puns of crux?
The puns of crux,
Puns of
yes.
crux. There's tons of puns for crux.
I mean, you guys have probably heard them all at this point, right?
We made some up.
Yeah.
There's some good ones.
But they get better the later into harvest. They get those late harvest nights. What the crux?
What the Crux?
My personal favorite is a friend of ours said it should be pronounced crooks.
Crux.
Ouch.
Wow. It is the wine business. So. Somebody should be called crux.
Brian Callahan, Steve Gower on the pod. How did you come up with the name?
Crux Winery.
What was
We
the
hadn't figured that out
idea
yet.
behind the name?
Well, the main reason is just where we are located. We're in the Russian River, in the Middle Reach, and in this little triangle that's referred to as the Crucible.
Okay, well, first of all,
Middle Reach.
Middle Reach, because you and I tasted together recently, and you said Middle Reach, and I think I know what the Middle Reach is, but I'm not going to go there. I'm going to let you explain it.
I don't know.
Because
I don't know.
No,
what it
we've
is.
heard it before. I thought from Jen Reichart.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, so go ahead.
Well, I mean, Russian River is such a big place.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not specific because there are so many different microclimates, so many different weather patterns. So they've broken it up. Nobody wants to give up Russian River. It's got some cachet.
Right.
So they've broken it up into little neighborhoods like Sebastopol Hills, the Green Valley. Middle Reach happens to be the section just south of Healdsburg.
Are these like established sub-AVAs or just sort of like the neighborhood, like when the real estate agents call the west side of Sonoma the Hamptons of Sonoma
the
Valley?
farmers are talking
Right.
about it. It's on some of
Yeah.
the more
Okay.
specific maps.
Brian, remember when we went out to in Sebastopol to
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Danny Fay worked for them, right?
Yeah.
Oh, at Kanzler.
at Kanzler,
Kanzler,
and that was the first time they talked about the neighborhoods of the Russian River Valley.
Right.
and
I don't
they-
know who coined neighborhoods, but
Yeah.
I've read an article or two where they talked about it.
But without a doubt, the weather in the Russian River, like where Limerick Lane is way different than the Russian River of where Kanzler is.
Or Literally. Yeah. I mean,
Or Literally.
we're just a little bit south of Limerick.
Okay,
is
so
where
that's
we
the
are.
Middle Crux,
It's the Middle Reach.
Middle
Middle
Reach,
Reach.
But
Middle Reach.
The crux where
inside the Middle Reach, there is this little triangle between kind of the point is at Healdsburg and down to River Road, and it's this transitional area because we are very close to Dry Creek, Alexander Valley, Chalk Hill. It all comes together right there. So they call it the Crucible,
right.
is the term, but we wanted to use the crux as kind of the crossroads of all those places.
Right.
So we are in the crux.
You're in the crux of the Middle Reach. All right.
Yeah, I think Middle
I dig
Reach
it.
kind of refers to the river itself.
Right.
You know, it's kind of the middle section of the river.
Okay.
Not the lower, very cool section like through Burnville and that.
Right. I'm thinking of like when you go over the bridge just before you get into the town of Healdsburg and you look south and it's kind of that the river's sort of meandering there. It's real rocky,
Yep.
kind of heading south. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it runs north to south before it takes a
Takes
a 90-degree turn out
Right.
towards the coast.
Right.
It's the Middle Reach.
And so this really started when you guys decided to plant a vineyard together.
Well,
or did it start even before that?
we started for no good reason, other than we both moved to wine country for the lifestyle, and neither of us had any experience making wine. We had a lot of experience drinking it. So
And
when in Rome,
did you drink it together before you moved here? Did you know each other before or
Nope.
met?
We met when we moved in next door to each other.
Oh, your neighbors. Gotcha. Okay,
And we
perfect.
discovered that we both loved wine, and we loved to travel to places that made wine, and specifically we loved Rhone varietals. So we made wine for a couple years with purchased fruit, but we wanted to make the wines we make now. So we planted our vineyards between 05 and 07 just really to make wine in our garage. And we have about 3 acres total, 6 different varietals. And the only grape we don't grow that we make wine with is Grenache Blanc. We've got Viognier, we've got Grenache, we have Mourvedre, we have Petit Syrah, we have Syrah. And then we have a little bit of Zin because we wanted to make some Russian River Zin. And we did this all without the intention of having a wine label. It was, those are the wines we wanted to make. Those are the wines we wanted to drink. So
Okay, hold on a second. What were you doing before you moved here to have enough money to even have that thought that you're just going to put in some vineyards to make wine at home to drink?
3 acres in 2005 was different than
But that's not something most people think about.
true.
right.
They're going to buy juice or grapes on the bulk market and or like try and find a friend.
Or they're
like
just gonna
make friends
buy
with a
wine
guy who has a
and drink
vineyard
it because it's way easier than making it.
You know, you got to, maybe it makes sense to explain it. This wasn't a decision made incomplete at
Sober?
one time, right? It was a general downhill slide.
Right. And our wives didn't say no. So we just kept rolling.
And did you have land in between the two of you guys where you thought, oh, maybe we could put some vines in here?
Yeah, pretty much. In fact, I mean, for me anyway, it was my intention. I knew I couldn't come to Sonoma County and buy a winery. That was not in the cards at all. And so just to have the bare property to put grapes on was my goal in the beginning in 01 when we purchased ours. And literally the vineyard was a horse pasture at that point. My neighbors were ecstatic because they were happy to see the horse shit and the flies go away and some vineyards show up in their place. So.
Probably good, healthy soil, right? If it's been getting
manured for a
trounced
while.
Yeah, but
on
it's
by
also
horses
been,
with
you know,
hooves.
probably
and-
hard packed and whatnot.
Well, and
It's actually pretty terrible.
do they pour a bunch of pesticides on there to make sure that no weeds grow? Or I don't really know how you take care of
Horses take care of weeds.
Horses
They do.
take care of weeds. Yeah.
It was pretty well.
Organic.
Yeah, you could say that. Yeah.
A few eucalyptus trees that needed removal.
Just
Ooh,
a
yeah.
few. Yeah,
I've dealt with that in my Syrah.
Yep.
yeah.
So we live on a road called Gumview, so it's full of eucalyptus trees.
They didn't
a
get
blessing
that name
and
by
a curse.
accident.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So then, how do you read a book or do you watch a YouTube video that says this is how you put in vines?
All the above. Yeah.
We had some help from people who had done it before. I mean, we're surrounded by vineyards, and you know that's one of the beautiful things about wine industry is people are happy to give you advice and tell you what they would do.
Right. Charge you money if you're willing to pay for it.
Yeah, the internet was around back then, so we could do some research that way. But we did it ourselves. It was not on a, we didn't hire a company to come in and plant our vineyards. We dug 3,000 holes to plant the vines and the infrastructure, and it was brutal. But
Labor
we
of
did it
love.
ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long did that take?
Well, 3 years, start to
Yeah,
finish.
right.
Jesus Christ. And how do you decide on like spacing or what varietals are going to go in?
Well, that's funny. I mean, we're surrounded by vineyards, some pretty large operations in every direction, and just I walk my dogs in large operations owned by vino farms. Probably shouldn't say this, but Gallo and places like that. So
They're not listening.
yeah. So
Sure hope
there's not people hanging out during the day. They do their work. And then they move along. So I started doing things just like looking at carrying a tape measure and looking at vineyard spacing, looking at varietals planted, and that's a pretty interesting thing about where we are, about that Middle Reach area, is that there is everything, especially at that time, except Rhone varietals then. There really wasn't that, but there was a Merlot vineyard right behind us. There was Zin, Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, pretty much everything but Cab. That was the only thing you really did not see, and it's obviously not really warm enough for that varietal. But it was kind of anything goes. And spacing wise, you'd see everything from old style plantings where they literally
10 by 10.
Yeah, so they could drive a truck down between the rows to meter squared stuff over the hill. So it kind of came to the point, talking about vineyard spacing, I finally just measured my tractor and said, how much buffer do I need, right? How much space do I need so that I don't take out of my...
That was my next question is who bought the tractor first?
Yeah.
We should have been more generous with our space. The tractor blight is evident.
We overrated our abilities to control the tractor. Yeah.
It's a real thing.
Seriously. Our flail mower clears 2 inches on each side. Which
way
is,
too high.
Yeah.
It's white knuckle.
And what was it about Rhone varietals? Like, what were the wines you were drinking that you said, oh my God, my mouth is watering?
I think
this is great. The Grenache
You're talking
Blanc
about
is
the
great.
Grenache Blanc.
Yeah.
I think we sort of came from two different angles, but kind of agreed on the varietals. And Brian had spent a lot of time in Australia, and I was in love with Chateauneuf du Pape. So that was kind of, and at that, back then there was a lot less. I mean, there were people doing it. Topless Creek was doing it down in Paso, but there wasn't really many Rhone varietals. I mean, since we've learned about more than we knew at the time, but back then there was a much smaller sample size. So, but at the same time, there was enough variety and grape types growing around us. We figured we could do that. And in a sense, that Zinfandel outlier in what we grow was a little bit of like hedging our bet. It's like we knew that was going to grow because we could see it. So, turns out probably Syrah grows better than Zin does, but we're exactly where we are. But
Syrah grows wherever you plant it.
That's true. What kind of rootstock did you choose for your Zin? I'm interested to know.
All of it's on 10114.
10114.
And I still question. I was bitching about it earlier today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks.
Isn't that the one that's failing now?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, 10114
but
is
that was what,
what
at that era, that's what everybody was still planting. That's
I
what
was just telling Brian this earlier. I years ago, I can't even think of who it was, but an old timer was saying don't use a rootstock that's been developed in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
And at the time I just thought he was being an old codger. And now I'm kind of like, that's probably solid advice.
Yeah.
Right. I would probably take that now,
Mm-hmm.
having
Just go back to St. George like everybody else did.
Yeah,
Well,
no kidding.
Okay, so
Especially in these
for
days of
vine
no
health
water.
though, right? Like how long do vines that were planted in the 2000s or in the 1980s, 1990s live for out here? Like what I heard when I first moved out here, especially with cab vines, was 25 to 35 years if you were lucky.
I mean,
or is that just from a vineyard development person that I learned that from?
They wanted to see a vineyard, replant it. See a vineyard, replant it. I mean, I think that there's a lot of factors in that. Part of it is just like the economics of it, and if it's costing enough, too much to produce too little as it gets older. But also, I think a lot of those vineyards are also farmed with the intent of replanting them in 25 years.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
I understand. Yeah.
Well, and also the market, right? Like what's selling. Like
Yeah.
Right.
the Merlot probably sold fine until Sideways came out, and then that Merlot behind you probably wasn't as easy to sell, and the Pinot probably didn't sell for shit until Sideways came out, and then all of a sudden it had somebody wanted it.
And I think a winemaker answers that question different than a grape grower.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
But you're both, right?
yeah.
Or do you have someone who makes your wine for you, or you guys make it? Because you
We
were
make
making it in your garage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now we make it in what looks like a large garage
A larger garage.
with a forklift.
Those
So
help.
Pretty
okay,
high tech.
so you planted the vineyard, you started making some wine. Where was that first place at? Was it custom crush, or did you immediately have a warehouse space?
Well, when the vineyards were coming online, we were just making it in the garage.
But it was just homemade wine there. It wasn't commercial.
So it was in the shop at Steve's house.
Right.
And, the first year, there was actually 5 of us. And we made 5 barrels of wine.
Probably.
Just starting out as home winemakers, that's how you do it, right?
Yeah, it's too much.
Yeah, way too much.
Yeah.
But we were overzealous. But it ended up, over the course of time, the 3 other guys fell away, and Steve and I, we were stuck together. We were growing vineyards and lived next door to each other. And
I think we were 2 or 3 vintages in before we realized that barrels could be had in smaller sizes. We thought we had to just use the big size that everybody else used. So
you mean 60 gallon, or you mean right for home winemaking? Like you could have done half barrels or something, right?
But we were getting used barrels and stuff like that from other from operations.
Well, and without a forklift, let's face it, without a forklift, it takes all the fun out of it.
Yeah.
We worked around it.
It was a straddle stacker. It was a large thing that could lift things up and down. It didn't really move them around, but we could, stack barrels and things like that with
I've never heard of that before. Straddle sacker.
You mean like something like for pulling an engine out of a car, that sort of thing?
Almost, but it's got
slightly
forks
better
on it.
than that. Yeah.
Okay.
And you can move it, but it's not very easily moved,
especially when they're full.
Yeah. And you get your
when you're funding it all, you find ways.
Right.
Yeah.
Pulleys, ropes.
Yeah.
Again, it was always sort of a bootstrap operation. We didn't come in with lots of funds, and it's really the only way we could do it. And again, our wives didn't say no, so we just kept plodding ahead.
Yeah.
I love that.
Kept us out of trouble.
And so was there even a conversation about, hey, where are we going to sell this wine?
It came a few years later.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, that's probably the first conversation people should have. Wasn't ours.
I concur,
Yeah.
Well, because at first you're just like, oh, we're going to drink it.
Well, right. Well, when we were making it in the garage, friends were happy to take a case off our hands. And as soon as we said you have to pay for it, they're like,
I'll give you a discount,
that's a different program.
So what was the first wine that was actually bottled?
For professional.
Like with a TTB label.
When Steve and I were making wine in the garage, we had never made a white wine. But we decided we were going to open a commercial winery. We figured we needed a white in the lineup. So we grow some Viognier, but we didn't have a source. We don't grow enough. We actually planted it thinking we might do the co-ferment with the Syrah, which never really panned out for us. Didn't make sense. But we didn't have a source for other Rhone whites. We would have loved to grab some Roussanne or Marsanne or even Grenache Blanc. But at the time, we didn't know where to find it. But we had some friends who had a beautiful Sauvignon Blanc vineyard. So we did a white wine called an SBV, a Sauv Blanc Viognier blend, which is actually a very common blend. A lot of people don't tell you about it. But we did that for the first couple of years. But then we ended up sourcing. We get all of our Grenache Blanc and some of our Viognier from Katie's Corner, which is about 2 miles south of us. Jen gets some fruit from there as well.
Shout out for Sarah Lee.
Yeah. It's one of the vineyards that Katie is her daughter. And that was a property that didn't go in the transaction to KJ. But they grow some beautiful, lovely white Rhone varietals.
Okay, so how many cases did you have when you bottled this wine?
That you're asking first year.
The first white wine.
SBV.
The SBV.
Which really actually sounds like it would be a great
I like
combination.
that.
I like the way the sort of like stone fruit and would play.
Yeah, with
was
the
great.
bigger mouthfeel.
I was kind of disappointed that we took it off the lineup, but we were, making 1,000 cases and doing 12 or 14 different wines. And it didn't make sense.
Yeah.
I know some other people with a skew problem.
All of us? Who doesn't?
Yeah, exactly.
Are you looking at me?
Yeah. So now we have our Grenache Blanc and our Viognier, and we do a little blending of, there's a little Viognier in our Grenache Blanc and vice versa. They just play well together and have distinct profiles.
Okay, so I got to go back to what the hell did you guys do before this that you could just decide you were going to make wine?
Before or still do?
One of us still has a day job.
Okay.
The medical device industry, it's not really something that most people even know it exists, but we make company that I work for makes specialty miniature tools, really, for working on you.
Huh.
So it's a weird little niche in the world.
And what did you do for the company, or do you still do?
Business development.
Okay. And what does that mean?
Sales. Finding people to buy things.
Yeah.
Right? Business development. Getting customers.
My background is mechanical engineering, which I have used quite a lot at the winery, actually.
Probably more than in business development.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, that's probably how a lot of early on, like a lot of things we cobbled together and made stuff work. Like, like we talked about, we didn't have a forklift. We didn't have, a chiller. We didn't have a lot of things that most people just say they need for a winery. And we just like, well, we'll figure out another way to do that.
I enjoy working at small wineries and hearing about hacks from garage winemakers because it's a very you got to have your MacGyver skills kind of
well, it's McGower
trained.
Right.
McGower.
Yeah.
It's a literal term at the winery.
Brian coined that a long time ago. Yeah.
We needed
Thank
like
God.
a pun segment where we could just go through all of them. I mean, mechanical engineer is probably the perfect background to do what you were doing.
In some ways,
I mean, other than knowing how to make wine,
yeah.
Right?
But isn't it amazing? Like another thing where something coming out of the medical devices, like how many wineries have started with someone that was, was pre-med, pre-med or somehow in biology or
Chemistry.
Yeah.
All those sciences.
I think,
those sciences.
for me, partially what I loved about winemaking early on was that like engineering is all about logic and things that are proven and doing all these things that are going to work, or you have a pretty damn solid idea they're going to work. And winemaking just doesn't fly that way, right? And if you try to apply rules and it doesn't work out, you end up with something either generic or terrible.
Yeah. And you can use the numbers as like a guide or a tool, but it does its own thing. And that's the art part of it. That's the magic part of it. And I think that people who do that with our type of brains where we're science-based, it like gives us that fanciful feeling that's like, oh, life exists out here in the real world. It brings it back. I think.
Right. It's like a creative outlet if you feel like you don't have one. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, not understanding why your TA and pH aren't in line the way they should be, right? Like, and having to deal with that. Like, it should be this way. Why isn't it
and
this
nature's
year?
like, I don't care.
Right.
I don't care what you think.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do what I want.
One of my first big lessons, we started out doing a lot with Zinfandel because it was before we had, like, very early days in the garage, before we had any of our own vineyards producing anything. We could get our hands on Zin, right? It was available to us. And one of the first like chemistry lessons was, we got this fruit, measured the sugar. That's easy enough to do. All the basic things. And then we produced the wine, and it was rocket fuel. Mm-hmm. And I took a sample at that time to the lab in Windsor, and they told me that it had 17.2% alcohol. And I'm just like, that's impossible. In fact, I made them test it again. And they were kind of laughing at me.
Yeah,
like
you didn't know about the Zinfandel creep, did you?
No, I didn't know about the Zinfandel creep. And that's just a basic lesson for anybody that plays with Zin.
Yeah.
But
wait, tell me.
So basically what happens is the nature of Zinfandel's uneven ripening, that some of the sugars will turn to solids. And even acidity can even be kind of hidden as well. So you'll have what look like these beautiful, nice numbers that will produce your 14% alcohol.
Yeah, right.
And then it hydrates, that sugar hydrates. The first clue is it ferments forever. Like 2 or 3 weeks it takes to get through all that sugar. And then, we learned that we have to pull numbers mid-fermentation.
You have to.
That's all rehydrated.
I've always given it a couple days. You test the bricks, or you test the DMA or whatever for a couple of days until it stops climbing.
Yeah.
But the problem is it's still climbing. It's not that it stopped climbing. It's that it started to ferment. So you're producing you're producing alcohol. You're going up and down still, and that's the problem. And that's why those mid fermentation checks out bricks, are so important because.
I mean, now I think
mid-fermentation
we sort of
water
know when that
Well, that's what they
exists,
lead
right?
to.
By looking and like if you don't have dehydration in the grapes, in the Zin, you don't have anything to worry about, and that's what we strive for these days.
Right.
But especially with like old vine Zin, you're just not going to have that luxury, and we learn to do. Halfway through, you get glucose, fructose, and alcohol percentage, and work out what you really got. So.
I mean, I don't know a lot about formulas, but I know that one.
Yeah. Right.
And I still screw it up.
Yeah.
So it's because of so I'm just trying to break it down for people that aren't making wine. Uneven ripener. So when you go to pick Zinfandel, the tips are kind of green, the tops are kind of raisined in the middles.
Yeah, so you have these giant clusters, right?
Yeah.
And they're very tightly packed. Like usually Zinfandel berries are very tightly packed on the cluster. And so no matter if you're getting like cluster samples, like where you go take the whole cluster and then crush it up, or if you're just taking berry samples, you're not going to be able to crush or allow the time that it takes for those raisin berries that are kind of in the middle
to rehydrate.
Right.
To then expose the sugars that they have. And so when you bring Zinfandel into the winery or when you're taking samples, you always have to add, 3 bricks?
Depends on the year.
To be safe.
Yeah.
I think
Depends on the sampler.
I guess it depends on the year and how hot it is and how much water.
You need to know the vineyard, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's where a history in the vineyard.
And sorting
awesome.
tables and optical sorters help with that. Some destemmers, like our destemmer, if you have it dialed in, a lot of the raisins stay on the stems, and you're thankful for that. But there's still raisins in there. It still happens, right? And so instead of it makes it better, but it doesn't take care of the issue.
I mean, we blame called Zin, but it happens in other varieties too. I mean, especially with the Rhone varieties,
especially the Rhone
with Grenache and Syrah.
Certainly happen in Grenache.
What you bring in and what you measure day one on crush, and what especially when we do the week-long cold soaks for the Eau de Têtes, the sugar that it hits after a week of being soaking is definitely higher than whatever it came in at, and usually significantly.
I guess the part we're also skipping over here is that when you measure sugar on grapes, you're measuring sugar in solution.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're not, anything that's solidified is not going to show up on anything really.
Until.
Yeah.
This was just, me being guest facing. This is something people talk about when they buy Zinfandel is that how come it's always so high in alcohol? And I always kind of explained it as, well, it's an uneven ripener. So I thought back in the 80s or something that they were just waiting for everything to go through verasion. I mean, but I didn't know it was, and then, that's why you get some of the tertiary flavors in Zinfandels, because you literally have raisins on there. So that's why I love Zin. It's a great balance of perfect fruit, raisins, green stuff. You get the complexity. But I didn't know that the alcohol was still climbing as you're making the wine.
But also remember, in the mid-'80s with Zinfandel, like waiting to pick was waiting till it was at 25, right? Or 24, right? Because you were picking other things at 22.5 to 23. And so just the trying to make a deeper, bigger, more sustainable wine, that was let it hang longer. And so therefore with Zin, then you get more raisins, right?
Yeah.
And it was a self-fulfilling prophecy that alcohols were going to go up, sugars were going to be left behind. There was going to be residual sugar, but that masked the alcohol. And so it made it
sugar helps the medicine go down.
It made it balanced, right?
Yeah, balanced.
One of my favorite sayings is just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Right. And so, if you ever went to Zap at, in 1997 or so, and you couldn't understand why you drank 12 wines and, you were blind drunk, it was because they were all at 17 alcohol.
It said 15.5 on the label.
Right. So,
can we pour the next wine, Brian?
Yeah,
one of the Brians or the Steve.
And just to talk about the Grenache Blanc, this is Grenache Blanc with, I'm assuming, what do you do, 5% Viognier or something?
Or less.
Okay.
Yeah, we put it on the bottle.
8%
Sort of like topping
on this
back
one.
and forth, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's delicious. 2022.
Yeah.
Can you put middle reach on a bottle on a label? Can you put the neighborhoods on the
I've
label?
think you
seen
can.
middle reach
Yeah.
on.
I mean, you can't use it as
As an AVA.
designate, right?
Yeah.
But you could
Right.
probably put it in a text
Okay.
message.
Yeah.
We
I'm sure
haven't
you can't
used
say
it.
this wine's better because it's from the middle reach. Like,
Well, you just did.
I think Rocchioli does that.
Rocchioli doesn't?
I've seen it on labels.
Yeah, they're
before.
due west of us, so we're just the other side of the river from them.
Okay.
All right, so I'm assuming. What are we gonna do? We're gonna do
Probably do the
this one first.
GSM.
15 GSM.
yeah.
That's a
15.
library
15?
selection.
Yay. Thank you.
So I was listening recently to another podcast.
How dare you?
Yep. Shout out to the Vine Pair podcast. And they had a short discussion about, how wineries have to market things differently. You have to think about something. And one of the things that they brought up that was a positive, or they thought a positive, was trying to distinguish between different bottles. And you guys have done that with your colors for the different varieties, right?
Yep. We didn't always. Actually, if you look at the 15 bottle, they all used to be a blue X. But we were underutilizing our screen printing technology, so we're getting older, so we increased the font. And we added the color X's to all the different varietals. So now you can find them in the dark cellar after a few extra bottles. So
I like that.
It helps.
And how has the screen printing worked for you guys? I know that winery I worked at did it early on, and there was a little bit of frustration because we didn't put the alcohol on the back. We called it a red table wine because nobody wanted to commit to what the alcohol was by the time they had to print the bottles. And then that whole idea of like running enough glass or having excessive of the vintage.
Hitting the number.
Have you guys had those frustrations?
Not really that one.
I mean,
as
or do
such.
do you always do some shiners? Do you have backup of just blank glass?
Not maybe a little bit, because we don't, you don't like to have printed glass that you don't get to fill. Right. So we'll typically underestimate a little bit. I think our challenge with that is working out blends in time.
Right.
Yeah.
Which of course is alcohol as well.
Right.
Because it's going to impact the same thing. But I think that's just forced us to get that work done.
Yeah.
I don't really have a problem with that.
This is spoken from the engineer of the group. no shade on you, but
yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm sure Brian's thinking, well, why does it take so damn long then?
Steve does all the math.
But I think it's worked out really well for us, actually.
I mean, I love the screen printing myself.
I mean, it is a premium package, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it costs more than paper label, but
Especially at our quantities.
Yeah.
Because we're doing 10 or 12 different bottles every vintage. So, and 150 case lots.
I think
It's not economical.
they finally have
the wine
realized
business.
that this
It's
is
not
what we
economical.
do, and they stopped asking if we're going to increase our quantities next year.
Yeah, because you got to be exact. We always have leftover labels. Imagine having leftover bottles.
I mean, I print extra labels just because I know that we might.
Well, that's all the
Something's
stuff
gonna
that
happen.
ends up in Steve and my cellar is the overs filled with something else that's not
On that.
It's not
Right.
labeled
Oh,
correctly.
there you
so
go.
you have to
Yeah.
pay
Yeah.
close attention when you file it away in your wine cellar.
We put a little masking tape with
because
some
sometimes you're
writing on it or
pulling the
something.
cork going, I wonder what this is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my wife thinks that's terrible that I have bottles that say Grenache. It's like crossed out and written Syrah on them in the cellar.
Those are the coolest bottles to drink, I think.
Sell those for more money, actually.
Yeah. So when you guys do blending on a wine like this, which is, let's see, 55% Grenache, 27% Syrah, 16% Mourvedre, and then 2 Petit Syrah, is it just the two of you sitting down at a table one night,
Yeah. I think
putting some music on, a little Michael Bolton?
maybe not that. Not
What are you
that.
listening to?
We don't need to know about your personal life, man.
Honestly, I don't think we listen to anything because we're like, it would take so little to distract us to the point of getting nothing done. We've learned from that. But I've always thought that you can't have more than 2, right? 1's too few, 2's good. More than that's dumbing it down, we've always stuck to just the two of us doing it. And I think our ideal situation is when we can't decide. That means that we, don't have, like, it's good, so we're not that worried about it. And basically, like, then start looking at things like practical, like how much of which wine do we have, and how do we, that can make an impact if we're at an impasse as far as the blend. But usually we're not. These days, like with the GSM, we've done this enough to where, we'll start out with, using prior year's blends or common blends, and then just saying, hey, is there something we'd like to see more of in this blend, and doing that. Yeah. So it's gotten way easier for us. I mean, in the beginning, we didn't have any super ideas other than, GSM being a GSM, like whether you have 40% Grenache or 80% Grenache. Yeah. So where now we've honed in on what at least the Crux GSM needs to kind of taste like, where it needs to fit.
Well, I was just going to say, we do put all the blends on our bottles, and even our Grenache has a little bit of Syrah and Mourvèdre in it typically, but it's, 90, 96% Grenache.
Yeah.
And you'll still put that on the label.
Yeah. We want to be fully transparent about that. I mean, in a few years, we did a little bit of Petit Syrah. It's never been more than 2%. It added just kind of a mouthfeel component that it was better with that. Doesn't change the profile of the wine. It's not about color. But anyway, we've got our Grenache and our Syrah, and we're trying to get the GSM blend kind of in between those things. And occasionally, this is the third year we've made a Mourvèdre bottling. We don't always do it. We've got to have, quantity and, perfectly ripe fruit to be able to do it. We always use it in our blends, but this is the 21 vintage. It's the third time we've bottled a Mourvèdre since 2012.
Yeah, and what were some of the wines that you had that were almost all Mourvèdre in the past that you were like, oh, this would be a good standalone?
That's
either locally or imported.
That's a frustration with French wines, is that they tend not to tell you.
Yeah.
Right. Honestly, not that many. There's some Mourvèdre grown in the Delta, really old stuff that tastes a lot different. I mean, it's not a very good, you'd think an old vine like that would be a good way to look at it and get an idea what the varietal is, but it's so hot there that it's really a very different expression
of
the
sandy soils and everything about that.
Completely
it's like
different
a sour
animal.
Cherry.
Yeah.
Kind of, it's almost Pinot-esque.
Right.
And then the other larger plantings of Mourvèdre are Mendocino County, which is equally more interesting soils, but equally as hot.
Yeah, right.
Or hotter, maybe in some cases, right?
So it's the learning curve on Mourvèdre has been higher because we basically had to just start making wine with fruit that we could source locally, and there's finally more now. But 10 years ago there was almost none. So and the Mourvèdre we planted on our vineyards usually winds up in our rosé because we just can't get it
Doesn't
there.
get it right.
Can't get it right. Yeah.
Not where we are. And that's the only grape we're buying from Dry Creek. Outside of Russian River is the Mourvèdre.
So do you do a little bit of co-fermenting, or do you normally ferment everything differently and then taste and blend?
The latter. We ferment separately, and the main reason for that is just they don't really ripen
at the same time. Yeah,
right? Yeah. It's a little better now. I mean, that when we finally kind of gave up on Russian River Mourvèdre and went to Dry Creek, that helped us a lot because we used to, have this enormous spread between the first grapes and the last grapes.
Yeah.
Like it would be like late October and we're pulling Mourvèdre.
Yeah.
And we're, we wanted to be done with harvest.
You're
and,
exhausted.
Everything
else is in the barrel, and we're bringing in Mourvèdre. And let's start all over.
Right.
That was not a fun.
I feel that pain for sure.
Yeah, right.
And then we would extended ferment. But
right.
So I like that because it gives the varietals by themselves an opportunity to shine.
Mm-hmm.
There is magic in co-fermenting, and that's really fun when you get to experience that. But like then you miss the years where you taste the Morvet, or you're going through and you're tasting, you're like, wow, I was not expecting this, or like it's like I'm getting all strawberry and it's beautiful, and I like this deserves to have its own bottle this year. So I'm excited to taste it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I like to taste them develop on their own and then make choices.
Yeah.
Maybe in another 10 years we'll do it differently, but
I think it's fun to do it both ways, But I mean, at that point, you have to have the scale and the opportunity. So
right, we have done, especially before we even formed Crux, a lot of experimentation with different things. I mean, before we probably take us in a whole nother direction, but before we started using native or feral, whatever you want to call them, yeasts, we inoculated everything. And so we started doing wines both ways and comparing and contrasting. That's awesome. Because we just read all this. I mean, you read the marketing material by some wineries that, they swear that, oh yeah, it's the native yeast that make their wine what it is. And other people that say, oh, that's crazy, that's stupid, you shouldn't do that. So which is right, we decided to do our own and, kind of came to our own conclusions there. But
so all these are native yeast?
Not the whites.
Not the whites.
Yes.
But the reds.
Reds, yes.
Very cool. Very cool.
Wow. Yeah. We haven't, the only exception, and we don't even do this anymore, but for a while we had some Zin that came from an old vine vineyard. And for all the things we talked about earlier with Zin, we were just not sure whether native yeast would get it there.
Yeah.
So we would inoculate that wine. Even that, I did that a couple of years and decided, I don't think that is necessary anyway. I think that native yeast are just as robust.
I mean, there have been some of those studies that have showed that regardless of what you inoculate your wine with, it's not the whatever yeast you inoculate your wine with is not what finishes it. There was a couple of Napa wineries that did a bunch of research and lab companies.
Yeah.
And I always kind of liked that idea of it.
Well, I know winemakers who halfway through fermentation, or not halfway, but like once the yeast gets going, they'll throw another yeast in, kind of like, right before it super takes off, just to get, more complexity and more flavors in the wines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
there's
cool. But you're native fermenting your Zinfandel?
Yeah.
Wow.
I've had more stuck fermentations.
You do it too?
With inoculated
Zinfandel.
I've had more stuck fermentations with inoculated Zinfandel than I have
same
with
here.
Me too, but I've never tried a native.
Yeah, because
Zinfandel.
I think it has more to do with
to be fair though, I would say the same, but to be fair, that's because I always gave it the hard job, right? When it was going to be that old vine with high sugars, and then I inoculated and went, damn it didn't finish.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it was the alcohol affecting the fermentation, killing the yeast than anything else.
Yeah.
So when you're supposed to put X amount of, God's greatest gift, water, and you go, well, I'm not putting
Jesus
that much in, right? Then you should have put that much in.
Yeah.
Because the math works.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. Actually, probably a Zinfandel that was a lot of fun back while it lasted. The Ponzo vineyard and Zin doesn't exist anymore. The property sold, the vines are tore out. But for a couple of years, we got old vine fruit from there, and it didn't come in at the same time as our estate fruit did. So we'd start them out separately, and we'd have ours with native yeasts and the inoculated Ponzo. And then when the Ponzo was 3 weeks in and no sign of finishing, and ours is dry, we would just combine the two at that point, and that would help the Ponzo finish, having the yeast and the dilution of being mixed with that other fruit.
Yeah.
And it's actually turned out to be a damn good wine.
I bet.
Yeah, it was kind of a fun mixture of the young estate fruit and the old concentrated wines.
That's a great winemaker trick too.
Yeah.
So you don't have to restart. You just
I may have seen
use
that
some
done a couple
lees from the old.
Yeah.
Pour it over the must and
Usually Syrah lees are really, really great.
I mean, that's kind of our approach to everything. Like the 2% Petite Syrah in this GSM, in some ways, I wish we'd had never done that because everyone asks about it, and I don't think it's very important to the overall wine. But I would say what it really is a tannin addition.
Gotcha.
And we're not into buying all the cool products. If we have a deficiency, we look to a blending partner to take care of it, and that's our approach.
Yeah. Perfect.
There's never mind. You can buy products that give you more tannin.
Yeah, isn't it?
I worked with a winemaker that added things like that to every single lot, regardless, because they believed that it was what made the difference. And ultimately, the only thing I ever could taste in that was common in all the wines is they all tasted like the tannin.
Addition, yeah.
Did it get a little bitter?
Yeah,
Sometimes I get bitter.
Tannin.
I don't know. I just don't think you can just say we're just going to add this enzyme or this tannin addition or this oak dust just across the board.
Yeah,
you can always have a recipe, but you have to look at what you're getting, and you have to put the work in of like tasting the grapes and tasting the juice and like figuring out what's happening every single year with every single lot to decide how you're going to deviate from that recipe.
Oh my God, that sounds overwhelming.
Yes.
That's why winemakers make the big bucks. Just kidding. We don't make any money.
But on the other side of it is just being complacent. I've got my ass handed to me with that also. So
for not doing enough.
Yeah. Right. And that's been a lesson learned.
Right.
That,
you can't trust anything. Can't trust the formula, and you can't not trust the formula.
Just have to keep your eye on the ball, Sam.
Oh, pay attention.
Yeah. Fuck. It's a fine line. You gotta watch the middle, babe.
That's why I'm a podcaster. All
right. Can we move on? Should we go to Mourvedre?
Yes, please.
Sure.
Yes.
Mourvedre, Mobetta, Ved, whatever
All right,
you want to call it.
at what point did you move into your first space to make wine at?
Well, the first 2 years we were still in the shop. We could make up to 500 cases, given our zoning.
Legally, you could? I mean, like legally, you were licensed? Really? And you didn't have to have like neighborhood review and...
Well... We have a neighbor who had an existing use permit that wasn't being used. So we leased his space. And
there you go. Okay.
Again, kept it in the neighborhood.
I mean, that's awesome because those places exist. And, there's that little chicken shack down by your house, Sam, that where
Bedrock
Morgan started. Yeah. And it's like, that would be the perfect little spot for somebody trying to do, something small.
There's a expanded garage on Enterprise Road.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so we were there the first 2 years. We wanted to grow beyond 500 cases. So and Lisa, Steve's wife, wanted us out of the driveway. Damn it. So we ended up...
Fair, Lisa.
The straddle stacker's blocking my car again. What the fuck, guys?
It could have happened.
Yeah. So we leased the space we're in now for the 2014 vintage. We had to get creative bringing in the fruit that year because we poured the crush pad and it wasn't quite dry yet. So you know how it is. Last minute, without the last minute, nothing would get done.
So you built something from raw earth?
No, we had to pour a crush pad. We're in a warehouse. It's an old property on Hassett Lane, which is just north of Healdsburg.
So you mean you had to put a drain in ultimately?
Yeah.
And an outdoor space where we could, actually physically do the crush.
Right.
I call it an agricultural industrial complex. I mean, it's in the middle of a vineyard. You wouldn't stumble by it. There's 8 or 10 other wineries out there. There's a big heavy equipment machine rental business. There's welders. There's car repair people. But
it's kind of like the old apple processing factories around Sebastopol.
Right. Yeah.
But it was in Geyserville, and it was a mushroom plant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jen Reichert's out there, Raft, and
Right.
They
They have their little
thumbprints.
A lot of great wine out there, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
A good little community. We're in our own space. Our barrel room is the property progressed from being a hop farm 100 and some odd years ago, and in the mid 1950s it became a mushroom plant. And then
wait, what? A mushroom plant?
They used to grow mushrooms there. Mushroom farm
above ground.
Yeah,
so
but
like
indoors.
The ones for like
feed them shit and keep them in the dark.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's some buildings with big old, cinder block walls, and it's a great place to age and
a lot of
wine.
insulation.
But our barrel room happens to be in the old cold storage, so there's some, 75-year-old chillers in there that keep it in the 60s without
That's
much
awesome.
effort.
Yeah.
Great insulation.
Works.
We had to clean the heck out of it when we moved into it. It hadn't been much hadn't been done to it. It hadn't been used as a wine space, but
Yeah, our barrel room is very well insulated, but it's too small for most people. I was shocked that it had never been used for winemaking before, but the other people that were already there were like, yeah, we looked at it. Nice that it kept everything cool, but not big enough. Right. So
yeah, we can stack 3 barrels right to the roof in the barrel room on the production side, and then out on the crush pad. We've got lots of vertical space, but it works good for us. But
Right. So you've found the right place for you.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's half the battle.
yeah, and we don't have open hours. Both Steve and I had our day jobs for most of this, so it wasn't like we were just hanging out waiting for somebody to stop by. But we could certainly arrange our schedules to meet an appointment out there.
And so when crush comes, is it just both of you, all hands on deck, or do you have interns? Are you guys at that point? Do you make your wives come and do stuff?
They're not that
they've
dumb.
refused. Yeah. They did say no to that.
Yeah,
First thing they said no to.
It wasn't just no. There was a couple other adjectives.
Are you kidding me?
Well, we do have a crew that does vineyard work and does our harvest for us, and without them, we'd be screwed.
Yeah.
So they do a ton of that backbreaking work, but then once it's in the bin, it's ours. But we've set everything up to kind of function for 2 of us, and in some ways, if we had more than that, they wouldn't fit.
Yeah.
Our sorting table fits 2 people.
Yeah.
It doesn't fit more than that. Doesn't really need to fit more than that.
Do you have a forklift yet?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
very
We
good.
had a forklift.
So what side
Side
do you
shift or barrel turner?
No barrel turner.
I mean, or bin dumper, I mean.
Well, we have a stationary bin dumper.
Oh, so
came from a
you're-
walnut farm.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, those work
totally
great.
awesome. Yeah.
So which side do you enjoy more, the farming side or the production side, or are there things about both that you love?
Well, I always feel like the farming side is the most neglected because I hate to say it, it's because it can be.
Yeah.
Where like the production stuff's on a schedule, it's got to get done. So that's I kind of vow in retirement from the day job that I'll get better as a farmer.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is it does have its, I mean, I totally get where you're coming from being mostly on the production side, but I always enjoyed the little bit of time I got to be in the vineyard, which is like coming up right now. Get your butt hiking up the hill, take some samples, taste some grapes, breathe the fresh air,
Right.
look at the view.
I mean, I do think it's possible to spend too much time in the vineyard too, though. Like ours are never manicured and beautiful and all of that.
Yeah.
But they produce some pretty damn fine fruit sometimes.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
Like kind of benign neglect, if you will.
Or letting them be themselves, letting them be a little
Yeah,
wild.
right.
Yeah.
Let some weeds grow. It's okay.
Yeah.
So I want you to talk about Mourvedre.
Yeah, I was going to ask what made. Oh, you want me to talk about it?
Yeah, I want to know, what do you like about it?
Well, I was going to ask you guys, so what made this Mourvedre special where you felt like it had to stand on its own compared to other years? I think this is a good representation of Mourvedre that's grown in a more colder area. But I want to hear your take.
Okay. Well, colder relative to Mourvedre.
Well,
right?
relative to what we were talking about earlier, where,
Right, yeah.
it's Oakley or Contra Costa. Or...
Yeah, exactly. So our fruit source
this
from
is Dry Creek, right?
It's Dry Creek. It's actually
sorry.
Mount. You guys know Mounts, probably.
Yeah.
It's from Mounts. Great people.
Yeah.
They grow grapefruit there.
Dave?
Dave Mounts, yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
he's a good guy.
right in the middle of Dry Creek, right?
And he's actually fought it out growing Mourvedre there, which is not easy for anybody to when he's got acres and acres of cabins in growing back there. He's got this little frustrating 3-acre block of Mourvedre that he grows. I think it's a great spot for it is that it's quite a bit warmer than where we were trying to grow it. But it's not super hot. I think it's a great grape for Dry Creek. I hope it continues. I feel like it's growing now a lot more than it was even 10 years ago. A lot of
we know
new
of
vineyards.
new Mourvèdre plantings in Dry Creek that have happened in the last 5 or 10 years. So
That's cool.
it's great.
I mean, it seems like places that grow good Zinfandel can grow good Grenache and Mourvèdre. You think about like the
I
Rossi
think
Ranch.
Zin can be grown in quite a bit cooler places. I mean, our estate Zinfandel grows
pretty
fine.
cold.
Yeah, it does fine.
Well, and that's the wonder about Russian River Valley Zinfandel is you have to battle some of those mildew issues, right? Because it's soft skinned and whatnot. But
Right.
a cool expression of Zinfandel is really great, whereas it thrives, or at least we feel it thrives in a warm spot, right? Which is more Grenache and Mourvèdre. You know, I know at Lassiter there was, you got more Mourvèdre planted because of someone who I worked with. And you guys got more. I know that was a trend, is put in more Mourvèdre because it did so well there.
It
and
did,
that's
and
definitely
I
a warm
really liked
spot.
what it did to the wine. But I'm a big Mourvèdre fan. There's no secret there. So
Maybe it's a winemaker grape. Huh?
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess a lot of what I liked about it early on is I kind of felt like there isn't any sort of defined expectation of what it is supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
Whereas there is that for all the things we're used to seeing every day. Mm-hmm. It has some, I don't know, some kind of exotic earth tones,
Yes,
spiciness
yeah.
to it that isn't really in other wines.
Yeah.
I mean, it was funny in our earlier challenges with the grapes, we would try essentially GS. Say, do we need this stupid M in the first place? And it was always like, yeah, we do. Even though this isn't the best fruit that we have right now, and we're using, it's still doing something that makes the wine better. So, I think that being difficult made it a challenge we wanted to chase. So, like Brian said, it's both quality and quantity. Working with Mounts was the first time we could get a little extra fruit to do a bottling of it.
And are you still making rosé out of Mourvèdre as well?
Mm-hmm.
We do a GSM blend rosé.
Cool.
So it's a Saunier style. We'll bring in Grenache, Syrah, Mourvèdre, pull off the free run, stick it in a tank. Then it's the only wine we don't intentionally blend. We get what we get from it, and it always comes out fantastic. Just based on the yields, it's usually about 50% Grenache, and then the balance is Syrah and Mourvèdre.
So what are your wives drinking? Like, what do they really like that you make?
Well, that's funny. My wife is a Pinot fan for many years.
Oh, shit.
I know.
So you got her on Grenache.
So you're going to move to Russian River, and she's like, woohoo, Pinot country. And then you're like, whoops.
Well, that was intentional, that we didn't make Pinot. Keep Lisa off of it a little bit. My wife drinks a lot of rosés and whites these days. She doesn't drink a lot of red wines. She loves the Mourvèdre. And occasionally Steve and I will make a off the grid Pinot just to
It's been
the
done
wives
for
happy.
the
Keep
wives.
home life.
Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's got a really nice acid to it, because the thing about Mourvèdre is it drops the acid really, really fast. So I think this one has a nice balance of the acid, but then you still get that forest floor, tea leaf kind of tannic approach to it. So you have a little bit of that nice sour cherry to it, but then you also have the structure.
Yeah.
So it's very nice.
It's really delicious.
Yeah, through fermentation, the sour cherry is really, really pronounced.
Yeah.
Like you'd almost swear there's cherries in there, right?
Yeah.
Really pronounced. Another thing we do a lot with Mourvèdre is we almost always have some amount of whole cluster in there.
Yes.
And it
concur.
seems to do great things for aromatics. How that promotes that cherry, I don't understand that, but it does.
How much whole cluster do you usually play with, or is it? I mean, it's different every year, but
Yeah, quite a bit, like a third to a half.
Very nice, yeah.
It makes punch downs just brutal.
those first couple of days are rough.
Yeah.
We've experimented. We did one year. It was kind of a pain in the ass, but we did 3 different lots of different percentages of whole cluster just
Yeah.
to understand
Right.
how it goes. I mean, we started the whole cluster during a brownout and we had no power and couldn't use our destemmer.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, hey, this
I
is
swear
the
that-
whole cluster. You know?
That sounds like a
That's how
made-up
you roll.
story, doesn't it? But it's absolutely true. Is that we
I
had
mean,
no
you're
way.
not the first person
Yeah.
that's happened to.
I think a lot of winemaking stuff is like, how do we get it done, and how do we do it with what we have? And then you're like, wow, I love this.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, the comment about, pitching yeast halfway through the fermentation is absolutely that, like, I don't think it's going to finish. Let's do something.
There's panic behind those eyes. Yeah. No, one year we did like a third, 2/3. We did 3 stages
yeah.
of whole cluster, and I think we wound up liking like about 50%
Yes.
as
Yeah.
being pretty ideal. Then we just put it all back together, and it magically added up to that. So
Yeah. Yeah, I like 25 to 50, but on certain years you can like really push it. So
right. The only time where we didn't want to do it was when the Mourvèdre had hung out a lot and taken a couple pretty good rainstorms.
yeah.
And it was pretty banged up.
Yeah.
And we're just like, yeah, I don't know about this. We probably better destem it this year.
So the
'Cause we
issue
didn't-
that I see with Mourvèdre a lot of, even when it's coming in from, people who keep their vineyards absolutely pristine, is like, it's the first thing the birds and the bees go for, because it's the first thing for that acid to drop. And so
Right.
you've got a lot of, damaged berries where you can get a lot of weird stuff coming into the vineyard. So even like trying to play with it is like a Russian roulette in itself. But I think that's another thing that makes it great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you see that a lot in the Dry Creek vineyard? Lots of birds and bees, or do you cover the Mourvèdre? We ended up at Laster covering the Mourvèdre with bird net, and that helped a lot.
Okay. Yeah, it's not netted. There is some bird damage every year.
Yeah.
Especially like at the end, because at Mounts, like I said, they have a large amount of Zin, they have a large amount of Cab. All of that's gone. All that's
Gotcha.
picked, right?
It's the last
So there's
thing
birds
out there.
flying around
Food
going,
left.
what am I going to eat today, right? So,
Well, not so funny story. When we were originally looking for Mourvèdre outside of our own vineyard, we got a contract up in Mendo at Elder Springs for some Mourvèdre.
I know what happened to the Elder Springs Mourvèdre.
And it was the last thing out there. And literally the morning we were going to drive up to get our 1.5 or 2 tons or whatever it is, the bears came in that night and just completely obliterated it.
Wow,
they
bears.
called and
Bears
said,
at
don't
all.
Said,
bother.
don't even bother coming.
Wow.
There's
I would
nothing
never
left.
have guessed bears.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I did not
that's
see
a-
that
The
coming.
bears at Alder Springs is like that's like a real
It's a
problem.
real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't in the contract.
Right.
But, oh,
So
it's
sadly,
so
we
sad.
never got to make any fruit
Oh.
from any Mourvèdre from Alder Springs, because it's such a cool place.
Yeah,
right?
amazing spot. One day we'll get Stu on here,
Yeah,
Yeah.
or we'll probably have to go up there.
probably.
That's all right.
Yeah, he's worth the stories. Yeah.
I was going to mention lasers, the use of lasers now, but I don't think that would have any effect
Do
on
not
bears.
give a fuck about your laser. They don't care about your little shiny strips hanging on the vine.
I would
They
think
don't
just
care
like
about...
a pack of chihuahuas just like barking to get those bears away. Like when I lived in Crested Butte and you would walk home late from the bar, like there were trash bears everywhere, and you'd just be like, bear, I'm coming, and they'd scurry off. So, but I have definitely seen a chihuahua bark down a bear.
trash bears.
Wow.
Trash bears.
Well, I mean, it's sad, but that's where the
Yeah.
And they don't hibernate
the
anymore
easy
because they
meal
know
is.
there's food all the time.
I'm just trying to figure out why you were walking them from bars that late at night.
Really? You were trying to figure that out?
it's like 2 a.m. It's not that late. I was in my 20s.
Okay.
They stopped serving at a certain point.
You have to leave.
You have to go, yeah.
It's not
If
Vegas.
you don't know the bartender, you have to leave.
All right, let's get deep into
Judging
some
over there.
Syrah.
Syrah.
Yeah.
I love the aromatics on this Mourvèdre.
I know the Mourvèdre is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't want it to go.
It's like dried lavender, like I'm walking through a dried lavender field. It's fucking great.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Ooh, this Syrah smells amazing.
Thank you.
All right, so this is Russian River.
Yes.
Yep.
This is estate.
This year was estate. Well, this is a
all the worst
2020
reasons.
vintage.
Do you remember?
Controversial.
Yeah, you remember the fires in 2020?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. How can you forget, right?
Yeah,
Vaguely.
Wallbridge fire
Uh,
on the west side of Healdsburg, which is right in our wheelhouse. We get a little bit of Grenache from West Side Road. We get some Syrah from on the Santa Rosa Plain. But most of the red fruit from 2020 came from our own estate vineyards. We dumped most everything else. The whites and rosés were fine.
Yeah.
But we made precious little reds, and I think pretty much without exception, it all came from our home vineyards. We didn't make a standalone Grenache. It all went into the GSM that year. You roll with the punches.
Yeah. Well, and
somehow our estate didn't quite get that concentration of smoke.
well, that's great.
It was.
Yeah.
Clear
And
pocket.
Syrah also has those. It already has those.
The
Smoke
indicators.
built in.
Molecules. Yeah.
Ethyl and methyl guaiacol.
The guaiacols.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, and that was the whole thing about those fires out there in 20 is that it was blowing everything north,
Well, and it was in August,
right? And it
not
was,
October,
right?
Yeah.
Right.
which is a huge difference.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I remember thinking I just had my first. Yes, I just had my first baby, and I was like, oh, maybe we won't have a harvest this year. Like, this is wild, but also I would love some sleep. But we did have a harvest, and it worked out okay because we were far enough south that the bad smoke where we were didn't pour in until much later. So we got in, our Malbec. All of our whites and rosés were not affected. Some of the Cab, some of the Grenache. So.
Malbec.
Malbec.
Malbec and Zin, nice and early.
Well, in 17 and 19, we had similar fire situations. It was in October, so we were evacuated from our homes. We had to sneak behind the National Guard to get to the winery during harvest. We were pulling all the punches.
Well, that's right, because for you guys, 19, we didn't have...
That was the Kincaid
Yep.
or yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
and that would have been... I mean, that burned right up on the hill east of you guys, right?
Yep. Well, and
And
it
that was
started
like
up by the winery. It
middle of
actually
October.
started up on the east side of Geyserville.
That's right,
And
yeah.
came all the way down into Windsor.
Right.
Started at the winery, finished at our house, pretty much.
Yeah. But, from a farming standpoint or from a vineyard and winemaking standpoint, those vintages were not really impacted other than, having to figure out where you're going to live and how you're going to sneak past the guys with machine guns.
Yeah, how are you going to take care of your
Fermentations.
whole livelihood?
And 20, the fires were out for us
Yeah.
when harvest was happening, and the fruit looked fantastic, but you knew there could be something lurking there.
yeah,
And we're working with small growers, so we just said, well, we don't know that we can certify the fruit. We're happy to bring it in, and we'll do whatever we can and try to learn from it. And if we
Yeah.
can use the fruit, great. We'll honor the contract.
yeah.
And unfortunately, most of them we had to dump it.
Yeah, I think in Sonoma we learned our lesson in 17 where we were just like, yeah, bring everything in. And then, the fruit, everything looks great. It's doing great. And then you get it in the barrel and you taste it and you're like, oh,
Ashtray.
great.
Yeah.
Well, it's like great up front, great middle. And then you're like, oh my God, ashtray. Like,
Yeah.
like
That
licking a
aftertaste.
bar ashtray. Like it was bad. It was bad.
Crested Butte.
Goes back to
bar.
Crested Butte. Yep.
You breathe that on the bears.
Actually,
and
at
they
that
run away.
point, you couldn't smoke in bars when I lived in Crested Butte. This was like college bar waitress cleaning the ashtrays every night. That was
Trash bear tray.
Yeah. Or you'd be tasting those smoke-tainted wines in 17, and then like 3 hours later, you'd lick your lips, and the shit had been like hiding in the crevices of your lips, and it all comes back.
Yeah.
It really was
No trauma there.
The Syrah we purchased was very sad that year because, like Ryan said, it really was beautiful stuff, like in every way. And the other three buyers had already declined it, so they're just like, take whatever you want.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And it's hard to really see how it was exposed differently than our estate fruit, but somehow it was.
Right.
It's hard to explain that.
Yeah. It's also the year it finally kicked Steve and I in the ass enough to make a port style Syrah, because we figured that would, even with minor smoke taint, that would be a wine that would be fine.
Sugar hides it. Yeah.
So
all the things we don't normally have to hide: sugar, oak.
alcohol. We didn't use anything that had a sign of it. So the Syrah fruit was solid when we dumped the Syrah grape spirit in it. But it was a motivator to say, well, we know we're going to dump a bunch of this, so let's try to salvage it.
Yeah.
And we need some catastrophic event to motivate Steve and I to do something different.
Did you take some of the Syrah and have it distilled?
Nope. The Sonoma Brothers Distilling in Windsor had some Syrah grape spirit.
Right.
We snatched it up and it came out great.
Yeah.
So it's literally 100% port style Syrah, which we have to call a dessert wine.
Right.
Yeah.
And Brian, you never mentioned what you did before.
I knew you were going to come back.
Brian's in a witness protection program, I think.
I'm not allowed to say. No, I spent 30 years doing business management consulting in the healthcare industry. So my clients were large medical systems and health groups, doing a lot of project and program management for them, process improvement.
You know what all that means, right, Brian?
Yeah, unfortunately.
I only retired from that about 3 years ago.
And where were you guys living before?
I was in the Bay Area.
Okay.
I moved up here in 2005.
San Jose.
Mm-hmm.
But had been coming up here regularly. I was dating a gal who's now my wife since 2002, which is where I met Steve. So I hadn't been far. I mean, I grew up coming up here. My parents drug me wine tasting all the time. I went to Cal Poly in the late 80s, early 90s, before there was a wine and vit program. I mean, I was a suburban boy. I didn't know what 4-H was.
You weren't Alpha Gamma Rho at Cal Poly?
No, I was not. I learned what 4-H was when I went to Cal Poly.
No.
AGR. It's a fraternity. It's the ag fraternity.
It's the ag fraternity.
Alpha Gamma. You're right.
Oh, AGI. Okay, got it.
Agriculture.
So, would have been useful, Brian, if you'd have done that.
Believe me, if I knew then what I know now, I would do a lot of things differently.
Yeah, I mean, that's if you graduated from Petaluma High and you went to Cal Poly, you were definitely AGR. Right. Or Sonoma High, same thing.
Yeah.
I've got a good, solid liberal arts education, which brought me right into winemaking.
Exactly.
But so it gave you the opportunity to make the money that you would need to do the winemaking.
to spend it all planting a vineyard.
Yeah. Well, the winery for us, even at our scale, the mortgage still needs to get paid somehow.
Yes, correct.
And it's not the winery that's going to do that, which is why we took the shoestring approach and maintained our day jobs for so long.
Right.
Yeah, where does all the wine go? Who are you selling it to?
I would say we are 98% direct to consumer.
Amazing.
We have a wine club. We do some restaurants up in the area. We looked at distribution and kind of crossed that off our list. Why should someone else make all the money and we still get to do all the work? It just didn't make sense for us.
Yeah. Ding that at risk of insulting my distributors.
Right, exactly.
We do make some wine for some other people. We do some custom crush stuff on small scales. There's a few breweries who pour either Crux wines or wines we made for them under their label. So we like making wine. Selling it and all the other stuff is kind of a pain.
That's
so
the worst
wine
part.
club.
Yeah.
Wine club predominantly. Yeah. And we get a steady flow of people despite.
Do you guys have a
by
weekly
appointment
concert
only.
or anything like that? Like other people we know?
It's not weekly, monthly.
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah, what's total production for you guys?
It varies a little bit, but we've been up as high as 1,500 cases. We're not making that much now, but it's around 1,000 cases over 10 or 12 different wines. So small lots of everything.
And so every year the challenge is, where are we putting wine, right, that's been bottled that you want to hold on to? So do you have like a wine storage facility, or you've talked your wives into having a...
We both have home cellars, but we've got a corner at the winery where we've got our case goods storage. We can keep it all there.
Yeah.
We got enough room for
Ooh,
that.
That's nice.
It is nice because you have access to it whenever you need it, and you don't have to pay for it.
Yeah, that's like a major bleeder.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we're pretty much 100% self-contained.
Yeah.
We don't.
It's nice.
And so what are you guys drinking when you're not drinking this wine? What are some of your favorite things?
Lately, I love Rhone whites from other places.
Yeah.
A lot.
Rousson, Viognier, anything?
Well, Steve mentioned Tablas earlier. I mean, we've got their clones and several of our grapes in the vineyard. They've always been, I mean, since I was at Poly, they were one of the first wineries I personally experienced and really loved what they were doing. And they still do amazing things.
Yep.
From a wine perspective. We drink a lot of wines that our friends make, around us, Gondak Cellars, Leo Steen, Capo Creek, with some Rhones and some non-Rhones. Yeah. But
Tablas also has a great industry wine club for those who are interested.
I know. I've learned this because I'm the person that has joined like 6 times and quit 6 times because I always I'm like, oh, Tourette Noir, only available to wine club members. Join, 3 bottles, quit.
Their Counoise is one of my favorite 100% Counoise. It's so good. But I'm also a big fan of Tablas.
Yeah, they're the OG Rhone people.
Their system, they hate me. Yeah, no,
I mean, OG in the U.S., obviously.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah. I really love Italian reds as well. Kind of go in and out of that. Yeah. Not have any for 6 months and then have one and going, oh my God, this is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm definitely on a learning curve for Italian reds. Know nothing about them. Don't really understand it, but every once in a while, it's all Todd. Todd will go, you have to buy this and try this. And I'm always like blown away.
Shout out Todd Jolly. We drank some pretty good Italian reds the other night with a friend of the pod, Kevin Burns.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
But we've actually made, we've made Sangiovese for our own consumption before and really like it. Doesn't really fit the Crux model, and I don't think very many people care about Sangiovese in California, unfortunately. But
add some Cabernet, then they care.
It's a fun wine to make and age for a really long time, and we have 2008s and 2011s in our personal cellars that just rock.
And is it the screaming acid that does that? I mean, that's the little bit of time that I worked with Sangiovese, working for other people. It was always like, what is the acid level? And at the time, the wines that had acid in them wasn't what you were going for, so you put Cabernet in it.
Yeah, right, and kill it. Yeah. I get
like, what is California Sangiovese?
I think my personal take on Sangiovese, like a real Italian one, was like, this tastes like crap until you eat something, and then it's wonderful. Right. And I never got that with most California Sangioveses, but if you find the right vineyard in the right place, and you get that same thing. Right. Ours are, I guess they were both Russian River sourced Sangiovese, so it's a little leaner than probably your average California Sangiovese, and that has kind of that same nature to it. That it's not a cocktail wine. Right. It doesn't taste very good on its own, but add some tomato sauce in there.
Right. Yeah. And thyme, right?
Yeah.
Like,
takes
THYME. What do you mean TIME?
I got you. I got what you're saying there.
And some black olives.
I mean, what like California
parsley, sage, and rosemary too?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a struggle too, isn't it?
Right?
Yeah.
So I have a question. So we've talked about your kind of, you use native yeast. You're kind of like to see what the wines do in barrel and production. Maybe probably hands off. You might to do more of your corrections or finding the right style of wine through blending. What's your farming philosophy?
I guess I touched on general neglect.
That's true.
Neglect. It was benign.
Our yields suck. Again, that's like a winemaker preference over a grower preference.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about. I mean, we could be certified organic. We're not.
Yeah.
Just because we're just too lazy to do that.
Yeah.
3 acres is not very much to go through all the work.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. If it's 30 acres, it's the same amount of work.
Right. Exactly.
Acres, it's the same amount of work.
Yeah. And we're consuming it ourselves. I mean, if someone told me that would make your wine sell like wild, then we would do it. But I'm not sure people care that much. Maybe not as much as they should. So, it's weedy. It's one thing that goes with crappy yields is not a lot of disease pressure.
Yeah.
So, I know that's a terrible way to arrive at that.
I mean, isn't that amazing? That,
Right.
I mean, things go wrong when you overcrop.
Yeah. And so early on,
the card carrying,
it's funny because, it's
Drop
not
that
funny,
fruit.
but early on we actually had some issues with it because I mentioned that horse pasture, right? That horse pasture initially was very vigorous.
Right.
So the vines grew like crazy when we planted them and had heavy crops for a few years. And then it kind of like fell off a cliff. I think basically consumed all that nitrogen in the soil and now could use some more. But we did have to, use organic products back then for disease control. Right. But, the last few years, we've really not finding that it's really a problem. And I think that's partially because we did manage to eradicate it, but yield control, canopy control seems to be more effective than any spray anyway.
Yeah.
So, how much fog, like this year in particular, but how much fog in general reaches where you guys are?
Kind of an in-between amount. I hate to say that, but it's not, you can drive down the river and see the fog and pretty much any morning, and it doesn't come up all that much. That's can be a struggle with a late year, which this is going to be, obviously, is that we'll start to get more fog as we head in closer to October. Right. And there'll be a point, because we've been here before, that it's not going to do anything but lose acidity to leave it out there. So we'll end up picking it based on the pH climbing more than the sugar is going to be what the sugar is going to be. Right. So, I think that's, my prediction for this year is we'll pick right before a really nasty sounding weather event's going to hit us. And we'll just we're not doing that.
I think that's fairly universal right now.
Yeah. It's not, I'm not out on a limb with that prediction. I don't think.
Well, we obviously buy more fruit than we grow at this point, just based on our production. And our growing partners are all either certified organic or sustainable.
Gotcha.
And are farming organically.
Yeah.
We wouldn't want it any other way.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
In fact, your dad is working with the Grenache vineyard that we have on West Side Road that we buy some fruit from. Craig Young.
Yeah.
Used to be called Campbell McKinney.
Okay. My brother was up there this morning working on some construction project.
Yeah.
Redevelopment?
They had Syrah.
Didn't want to pull out.
Well, they had Syrah and Viognier that they've torn out.
Right.
But they still have the Grenache. And it was a vineyard planted by Phil Staley in the mid-'80s.
Something like that.
So,
really?
again,
probably one of the older Grenache plantings in the county.
Like Enkidu?
Like Enkidu. Yeah.
No. The other was Staley Winery. There was Staley Winery, which his name was Phil Staley.
That's not confusing at all.
Actually, that's right. There's two Phil Staleys.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe their last names are spelt different. But that was a renowned, in the days there wasn't a lot of Grenache, Syrah, and Mourvedre around. That was it.
Yeah. And he had originally planted Mourvedre that at some point somebody pulled out because it wouldn't get ripe.
It wasn't getting ripe.
Yeah.
But it's kind of at we're all at the very northern end of the Russian River, but like Dry Creek is 2 mailboxes up kind of from them.
Yeah, it's that temperature change, right? Or the fog doesn't quite make it.
Yeah, and I think Phil said that he got cuttings from a vineyard in Santa Clara Valley that was being ripped out like at that time when he put it in. So he's never
Santa Clara.
Yeah.
There's tons of vineyards and wineries up in the hills around. Santa Cruz Mountains AVA now.
So he had no idea what clone that Grenache
is. Probably a heritage clone of Grenache. I can't imagine that there were new plantings that were getting vines.
So.
I'm trying to think, who was it? Doesn't Bedrock get that Days of Mount
what is that vineyard called?
Mountain,
Morgan,
the Mountain View,
text in.
Exactly. He's scratching his head right now, going, "Those guys are idiots."
Yes. It's not new information to him. Right. Gambrels of the Sky. No, that's something else.
That's something else. But there was a mountain something vineyard, and it was
from down there.
Yeah. We've exposed ourselves too much now. We should move on. All right, guys. How do people find your wines? How do they happen to find this building sitting in the middle of a vineyard and come for a visit? Shout it out.
Well, our winery, the website is Crux Winery, CRUXWINERY.com. I think both Steve and my phone numbers and emails are on there, and they are welcome to email us and set up a tasting appointment. It's, over a redwood slab on a couple of barrels in our barrel room. And it's either Steve or I pouring for you, and we'll pretty much taste you through any wines that are available.
And if you time it right, you can go taste with you guys and then go have lunch at La Tolovia. No, what's the Geyser Diavola and get some pizza at Diavola.
Great spot. Or you can go into Roof 106 in Healdsburg. They've got our Grenache Blanc on tap.
There you go.
That seems so professional, Brian.
We got our harvest lunch coming up the first Saturday in October.
Tap.
On tap. We do a lot of kegged wines.
There you go.
That's a beautiful thing.
It is.
We do a harvest lunch at Valette in Healdsburg the first Saturday of October. We close the restaurant down and do a 5-course paired lunch.
Wow. Sounds terrible.
So really tickets are available for that right now?
Flows into dinner time. We do have a few seats available. Our club usually snaps that up, but at the moment I've got...
I would challenge anybody to say there's a better version of that anywhere. I've not experienced it. Like... super biased about the wines, but the food's amazing.
Yeah, a great service. It's just a great environment. We take over the whole place. A lot of people know each other year after year, so there's a great community there. It's a lot of fun.
It's not dumbed down at all. It's like full-on Valette food, right? It's not. It's not made differently for a group of people.
Right. No, they do a great job.
I mean, I hear he knows what he's doing.
I probably won't be picking grapes by then. We might as well go.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, our wives like it because it usually prompts us to take a shower and
put on some clean clothes.
Go in public. Yeah. Right. It's a good thing. And we get to sit down for lunch as opposed to standing over a barrel or a fermenter bin.
Right, exactly. Eating a burrito.
Well, we really appreciate you having us. It was great fun to be here and show you our wines and talk a little bit.
Thanks for coming down.
Yeah,
our
thank
pleasure.
you.
Wines are delicious. The Mourvedre especially stands out. Yeah, love it.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
The Grenache Blanc, pretty good too.
Yeah, no shit. I got a question for you. I was just reading an article this morning. It's like NPR, Forbes, talking about multi-vintage blending with climate change. People looking more into blending multiple vintages together because they never know what they're going to get. I know it's kind of weird going in 23, 24, 25 have been pretty good vintages for us here, but in other parts of the world. And you guys can add, I'm asking winemakers, you guys can add up to 5% of another vintage into...
Might be 10.
10.
Yeah.
Is it 10?
I think so.
It's about 10%.
Yeah. So if you have a little something left over after you do a blend, you
add the newest vintage to
freshen things.
To freshen things. So
blend
it's
it
called back blending.
Oh, back
so like if you had a 2020, you would add 2021.
Would you ever do it the other way?
I think that's dangerous because the longer wine is in barrel, the more susceptible it is to fault bacteria and
so much as a little bit would fuck up a lot.
Yeah.
Instead of the other way around.
Spread it around.
Right.
I mean, usually what you're doing is trying to like freshen things back up. So you're using wine that hasn't aged as much to kind of go back into the older wine and bring it back up a little bit.
I think it could be interesting in blends where you have a varietal that likes age more than another.
Oh, interesting.
Like,
yeah.
I'm just thinking of Grenache, like
Sangiovese.
It's the mechanical engineer thinking over there.
Right. Yeah, right.
Keep this guy around.
Sangiovese, 3 to 5 years in barrel, at freshening up with a little bit of new.
Right.
Huh.
I don't know. Never tried it, but it sounds interesting.
I mean, it's common practice in
Overture. Opus.
Well, no, think about
but
champagne.
right. And that's that's what the article was talking about, is that it's common practice in Champagne, but it seems to be like frowned upon with normal still wines. But you have big...
Our box red is multi-vintage blend.
Oh. Oh, is that why I can't find it in the freaking computer?
NV, brother, NV. It's like half 2024 carbonic, and then half of the 23, sort of the lighter Zin from Barisha in 23.
How many people have caught on that they don't see a vintage date, Sam?
Well, apparently Brian hasn't, so I don't know.
Obviously, nobody's asking the question.
I'm obviously selling it,
right?
Because I'm trying to find it in the computer to ship it to people,
right?
But I'm like, what the fuck?
but I mean, why
doesn't have a freaking vintage? Whoever put this in
microphone against forehead. Yes. Apparently, I didn't explain that well enough. That's my bad, Brian.
That's a management problem.
As long as it tastes good and
right.
Does it sell well?
It does.
Then who cares?
Exactly.
Bart and I just repoured a little bit of the Grenache Blanc, and it is opening up quite nicely.
Comes up to temperature a little bit.
Very, very nice. Really delicious.
Well, you guys, what's going on with you? Bart, what's going on with your life? What are you doing?
Why is it about my life?
Bart,
are you going to Occidental College?
Empty nest.
I'm not. I'm just,
Are you converting Dane's room into are you going to put a
man cave?
Air hockey table in there?
No,
ping pong.
No. There are things that we're definitely getting rid of. I know he doesn't listen, so I have like 2 boxes of school books that are going back to school after 4 years of collecting them. I dumped off a box of quote unquote educational books from his bookshelves that he outgrew 5 or 6 years ago.
You mean porn?
I hope not, because I dropped it off at Bedrock U.
Might appreciate that.
Educational material.
Right.
We're talking about a teenage boy here.
Yeah, right, exactly. No,
My mind is already there.
Right.
Yeah.
We cleaned his room and didn't find that much that we were surprised by.
Just a little?
Just a little. But yeah, that's what I'm doing.
How many of your pipes had he stolen?
Only one.
Only one.
Only one. Yeah. Yeah.
Water pipes.
Right. No,
it's a vase. It's a vase, Mom.
Right. We found.
It's art. It's
Look how pretty it is.
My friend does glass blowing.
So anyway, that's what we just bottled some wine. Of course, I couldn't get my act together to get the labels done, so there'll be a little labeling project coming up. But that's all right.
That's the real reason we do our bottles with this.
Force your hand.
Right. Yeah. I like to say it's the last opportunity to make sure the corks are all good. Give one more look at them before we start shipping it out. It's all about quality.
It's the French method. You just bottle it as you sell it.
Right.
I mean, you label it as you sell it.
Yeah, we try to get a little bit ahead of it.
What were you bottling?
We bottled Rossi.
Oh, cool. So this is GM.
Just GM.
Yeah.
Just GM.
Cool.
2024?
No.
Wait,
21 and 22.
I was having it. 21 and 22.
Yeah.
Wow. You're bottling 21 and 22 right now?
Yeah. Well, they're bottled now. We were late to, I've expressed all of my, my cash flow issues always through this show. And so I was a little late to get them both in bottle. But they're both tasting delicious. Looked at some, blending options with different vintage, but the wines are distinctive and they're fresh and they're good. So
I'd love to do a comparative Rossi tasting with you with our different wines. I think that would be fun.
Yeah.
We have a couple too.
Oh, okay. You guys can come too.
We're sold out.
All right.
I wish.
What's going on with Sonoma Valley Vendors and Growers Association?
It's all about the Vintage Festival.
Yeah.
Coming up.
Tonight is Poppin' the Champs. You going downtown?
Yeah. They're trying to do I don't know where this came from.
I don't either. But
I think it's a Tim Zahner idea.
I think it is also.
Yeah. It's just weird enough to be a Tim Zahner idea.
Right.
Tim listens. Thanks for having me on your show, Sonoma Spiel, last week, Tim.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for years it seems like the one thing that we haven't done well in Sonoma is like market together with the 3 different organizations.
Chamber, the Visitors Bureau.
And so one thing I know that our board has tried to do is trying to get work together. I think promoting the valley. This is where we are. We're in the valley, right? It goes back to we can promote our area better than the county can. So
an improvement district could.
Yes, exactly.
Just a thought.
So. I guess they're having some meeting tonight. I just ran into somebody and they said, "Hey, are you going to the?"
Wait, aren't you on the board?
No, that's the county.
The county thing.
It's the county. So,
do you want to go?
No, I was at a
angry meeting last night.
I was at a very angry board meeting last night over in Rhone Park. I had my fill for a
the decade.
freaking time. They're trying to put a plastics recycling place in where my daughter's high school is, over in Rhone Park. So.
You mean like get rid of the high school, or they want it to?
No. It's literally within like 200 feet. Yeah,
but they're not burning it; they're microwaving it. So it's all
they're microwaving it. And then the mayor of Rhone Park owns Sally's Tomatoes, that is in that complex.
It's an old HP.
So he has to recuse himself. Anyway, it was not a lot.
Rhone Park politics.
Yeah, Rhone Park politics.
Don't get
and then
involved.
Crazy people show up. There's like, because it's open mic.
Right.
So then you get these crazy people that show up and start yelling. And all of us looking at each other like, what the fuck are we talking about? Talking about casinos and pledges of allegiance and people with spiral binders, and
there was this guy
who look like this is like their
thing.
Only thing that they look forward
every
to
meeting,
is coming to this fucking
comment.
meeting and just and he's like, this is the 5th time I've told you, Mayor. And I'm like, this guy comes back every week.
Yeah. There was a guy who used to show up at every Berkeley City Council meeting and demand one man, one chicken. And that was his whole thing, and nobody had any idea what he meant by one man and one. Like everybody in Berkeley needed a chicken. Nobody really knew, but he was there at every meeting. One man,
a couple
one chicken.
of the people, I feel like they were probably on medication,
or should have been.
But you can't just tell them or tackle them.
Adjust your dosage, ma'am, and come back next week.
One man, one chicken.
One man, one chicken.
I mean, it's not a bad thing. No. Growing up in Petaluma.
Right.
It's hard to say he's
one
wrong.
Man,
only one?
Chickens in Petaluma.
Right, exactly.
It's hard to say he's wrong, yeah.
No, he's not wrong.
Chicken Jerry would go along with that
totally.
if he was still around.
Right. Chicken Jerry. We're deep in the weeds of local.
Do you want
bullshit
to promote any Sonoma Valley Vineyards and Grower stuff or no?
Well, of course.
Okay.
The Vintage Festival is.
I mean, I feel like I've opened the door like 4 times.
I know.
I didn't realize
Do your
that,
job,
you
Bart.
know.
Bart, do your job, Bart.
You guys are brutal. I love you.
The Vintage Festival is the last weekend of September.
128th Vintage Festival is the last weekend of September. On Friday night is the Harvest Dinner at Vianza this year. It's our charitable dinner. Come sit at a table with a winery of your choice or mystery. Okay. Beautiful dinner overlooking the wetlands of Carneros, looking up
Chris
valley.
Sawyer going to be there?
No, Chris Sawyer does not come to he's not invited to our events. He came to one. I don't have a problem with this.
No, I saw the video of the one last year and he was going table to table.
Yeah, and he kind of like took over and sorry, Chris.
No, someone's got to draw a line in the sand. Good for you guys.
You guys know Chris Sawyer?
The silence.
Anyway, Vintage Festival.
Saturday the 27th is the festival on the plaza. You'll see Sam Katuri trying to win a salami by throwing a potato.
I've been trying for 40 years. One of these days I'm going to hit those fucking
This is your year. There'll be the tasting. There'll be the art display.
Tasting at the barracks.
Tasting at the barracks is Saturday night.
The big one.
The big one. Always a great event.
I recommend going to the Swiss Hotel for a cocktail beforehand. That was the most fun I had.
Well, or what I like to do is after I like to go to the Swiss and have a Glarfy.
So you can get home.
So you can, recover from the 3 hours of tasting.
Standing up, pouring wine.
Yeah. Okay. So
okay.
Anyway, I know that, I have to go first because the calendar is
It's winding down.
Here it comes.
We only have a couple things
So
left.
let's go.
It's coming. Danielle?
I start my anima job next week, which I'm super excited about. Cool. And both kids are in school and daycare, so that's been cool. And yeah, last week of freedom before harvest rolls around.
Wow, Danielle Langlois and Katie Wilson together.
Back
Yeah,
again.
Under the same roof.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Getting the band back together.
Yeah, that's cool. All right.
What do we got?
International Grenache Day.
The September 19th, 20th. 19th?
Yeah,
20th?
it's the third Friday,
Friday
in September.
19th.
19th.
You guys
Thank
give
you.
me grief.
It'll be here.
Well, I had it 5 minutes ago, but you took so long to get there. I lost it all again.
This is not my problem.
Fucking Chris Sawyer.
Sawyer. He interrupted the flow, as always. Shit. We're in so much trouble.
He's probably listening. That's
I hope
a great
so.
thing.
Thanks for listening, Chris. We love you, man. International Grenache Day right
Home
here
of Pride.
at the Tasting House. It's Tacos de Rhone. We got Costas Tacos. We have our man Cameron, who, if you've been to the tasting room this summer, you've met on a Friday or Saturday, playing guitar.
Kind of a sneaky little situation where he works at Poppy, works for the Girl in the Fig.
Great server.
Works
by the
here
way.
on Fridays and Saturdays, and then I happen to
You discovered him.
I live a block from Oliver's in Cotati, and I was stopping there one day, and he was playing music outside,
busking.
and even as I'm like buying shit, I'm at the express line that's right by the door, and they have people playing out there every day, and most people are not that great. And the girl, he sees me buying stuff, and so I wave to him, and he waves at me, and the girl goes, "Do you know that guy?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "That is the best performer we've ever had out in front of Oliver's." I'm like, "Oh, cool."
Right.
So then I went out there and I listened to him, and I'm like, "Holy shit, he's amazing."
I'm excited to hear what he's going to throw down.
I think he's got a BB King, Lucille guitar situation.
Sweet.
And his voice is amazing. Yeah, so we're like, fuck it, let's save a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And he's already on the payroll.
We're still gonna. Cameron, if you're listening, we're still gonna pay you. Don't worry.
Just thinking, I wonder if Cameron listens
Mostly
to the
because
show.
we're gonna work during the day and then play at night, and we want to avoid overtime, so we got to pay you some
Toss some
cash.
tacos in his general direction every now and then. There you go.
Just open up your guitar
Keep
case
playing.
and pretend like you're at Oliver's. You'll be fine.
Yeah, totally.
And so International Grenache Day. You can buy tickets if you're a member. Come hang out. It's sort of our little open house Friday night. 4 to 7,
5 to 8.
5 to 8. Whatever. Show up, leave. You'll have a good
Most
time.
people show up whenever they want.
Yeah, exactly. There'll be people here at 2:00.
Yeah.
And then the big one.
Shout out Gary Larson.
Jesus.
How we digest.
Digest.
That's
how we digest.
How we digest.
Slowly, apparently.
Digress. Digress.
And then the big one.
Yeah.
The big one. October 12th. Denmark Street Barn.
Which we are now allowed to say.
I mean, I said it on Instagram, and then she reposted it and said she was excited. So,
Cool.
Yes. So, headliner is the Abbey Roads, which is basically an all-star jam band group led by Reed Mathis and Aaron Manger of the Disco Biscuits. And they're going to do basically jammed out Beatles songs. So that's the headliner, and the opener is Bella Rain and friends. She grew up in Novato. She's just graduated high school. She's 18 years old. I posted a story on Instagram, one of her reels. Go check out Bella Rain. She
crushes the guitar.
Shreds. She shreds.
So good.
Yeah, just like child prodigy now coming into her own. She's got a management team and everything. It's all official. We had to act like we knew what we were doing when we talked to her. Like Brian did anyway. And so, yeah, she's going to open. And I imagine, she's the crossover between the world of Reed and Aaron and the Grateful Dead and what she's
played
playing
with Oteil Burbridge.
Yeah. She's going to play.
Yeah.
We're going to see if we can arrange a sit-in for the second
Are
set.
you guys deadheads?
Sure.
I mean,
I saw them live.
okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm
Shoreline Amphitheater,
always
right
just
up the street.
amazed how the jam band world just continues to grow and grow and grow.
Well, they just keep jamming and they don't stop. The song, it's all been one song since 1965.
It's really amazing. I mean, and this self-fulfilling prophecy is,
You mean becoming baby Bill Graham? Is that what the prophecy is? What are you saying?
Well, I mean, that's great. I know that's what you've always wanted to be. But it is amazing. Ever since, as long as I've known you, there's all these bands and they're all inspired and it's all comes from,
So the
influential
Dead and Friends and
I mean,
and on and on.
but all the other bands that have come out of that, I mean, whether, it's amazing.
Well, it was a cool conversation. It
music.
started like 6 months ago, where it was like on Sam's wish list to get Bella Rain to play, and we were like, "Well, are you serious? Like, do you want us to actually?"
I mean, there is like
try?
a little bit of weirdness of inviting an 18-year-old to
At
play
the time,
at a
17.
winery, right? At a winery event. But we'll just make sure that she has plenty of verjus, and it'll be all good.
Yeah, and I went and saw her at Hot Monk in Sebastopol a couple weeks ago. She was playing with the Sunshine Garcia band, and she is as advertised. She is fucking
shreds.
amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And also Reed Mathis and Aaron Menger are giant stars.
Yeah.
Let's not
Yeah.
undersell the headliner here.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did a good job last year with the Bone Diggers, the
Right.
Paul Simon dance party.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then we're done, right, Sam? Can we then go on vacation?
You
after?
are going on vacation.
Oh yeah.
No, I'll probably come up with something. We got New Year's Eve coming at the very least.
Right. Which is a whole nother conversation that I don't think we can talk about.
No, we're not there yet.
Cool.
All right.
Cheers. This has
Anything
been
else?
the Winemakers Podcast.
Yeah.
No, thank you guys for coming all this way.
Trying to wrap it. Yeah.
Anytime.
Yeah. No,
Wines are
wines
great. Yeah.
Thank you,
for
guys.
coming down.
Cheers, man.
Drink more Crux.
Drink more Crux.
Drink more Rhone.
Go to the Middle Reach.
More Rhone. Go to the Middle Reach.
Go to the Middle
Look
Reach.
into, find out what is the deal with the Middle Reach.
J.R.R. Tolkien Middle Reach.
Middle Earth.
It does feel like a different world up there. Go visit Russian River, and then come back to Sonoma. All right. Subscribe, review, tell your friends.
5 stars.
All right.